What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Unleash Potential podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Haji. As always, joined by Mr. Jabbar, Mr. Almi, and Mr. Hassan.
What's going on, man?
The four amigos. How you guys doing, man?
I'm
The
doing
four
alright,
amigos.
mate.
The four amigos.
Four of us? All four
The
of us?
four amigos.
Yeah.
How you guys doing, man?
Doing well, man.
Been a tiring day,
Yeah,
man.
very tired.
Long day.
Long ass.
How long? How long?
day.
Started
And
1 p.m.?
hot too, man.
Oh, man, it's been a hot day, long day.
It's not even
runarounds.
over.
But finally, man, I reckon it's worth it, man.
Yeah, man.
It's part of our commitment to our viewers, making sure that every week we've got an episode out, regardless.
Absolutely.
Commitment.
Exactly.
Consistency.
100%, man. I want to throw a question out there, man. I want to do it totally different today. Just throw out a question and see what comes out.
Okay.
Who are you and how do you identify yourself?
The fact that you asked me that, by knowing you know me for so long, and now
No,
you're asking me that question?
I am asking as a hypothetical. Who are you? Who is Jabbar? How do you identify yourself?
How do I identify
Yes.
myself?
Somebody you haven't met says, hey, who are you?
That's a tough question.
You can't
'Cause,
answer that.
No,
I
break
get
it.
those questions.
I get what you're trying to say.
Break it down. Break it down. Three different aspects.
Okay, so generally who I am is it's a collective of your experiences and, you know, everything that came into your whole life has pretty much led me to be me, right? So that's who I am now.
Let's break it down.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
start with, who are you in terms of your nationality?
Okay, cool.
Who are you in terms of your personality?
Okay, cool.
And who are you in terms of your ambitions and your dreams? Three different aspects.
I'm a
But
Somali
who's to say
Australian.
that that's how you should be defined.
No, but he's throwing the
No,
question.
those three, and then we'll say
what he
how
wants
you
to know.
define
Right.
yourself.
He's just putting some categories out. All right, Somali Australian
Okay.
is pretty much nationality. I'm Somali, living in Australia.
Okay.
Been here most of my life. Pay my taxes, so I'm Australian as well.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Pay your
I
taxes.
Pay your taxes.
Of course, so I'm
Sure,
Australian.
sure.
Personality, that one you can't roll up into a few words. What was the last one though? The last
In
one
terms
was
of your ambitions and
I'm a high shooter.
High shooter.
You just go. You never know what you can achieve until you give everything you can.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Do you agree with, because there's people in our community that say you will never be Australian, for example?
No, I disagree with that.
Why?
Because what happens in this country affects me, and what I do affects this country as well. So I'm part of the community, and if I'm part of that community, I live here, I pay my taxes, I go to work, I know my neighbors. Your whole life is in this country. You're an Australian. You're part of the Australian community.
Okay, but do you consider yourself Australian the second you move away from the country?
But I've been here I grew up here. You know, I was
Yeah, I
raised
know. Okay,
here.
so
yeah.
if you migrate out of
Of course,
Australia,
I've been here.
you still have that as part
Yeah,
of
because
you?
I've been here so long that this country has affected me as well. The way I speak, the way I act, what I learned is all part. Has influence from here.
But would you give that as part of your answer to someone who asks you, what's your background?
So normally,
So somebody comes up to
but
you.
99%
and says,
what happens is-
somebody that doesn't know you, that doesn't know that you're Somali, comes up to you and tells you, "Hey, who are you? Where are you
normally,
from? Where are you from?"
I'll say Somali because that's what I'm giving them the answer that they're looking for. Right? When someone looks at me and says, "Where are you from?" They're going, "What country from Africa or something is this guy from?" That's what they're asking you.
Yeah.
So I go, I'm from Somalia. And when I say it like that, they go, "Okay, cool, but where else?" Because they can straight away tell I'm not just Somali. And then you go, "Yeah, I'm Australian too." And then they'll ask you how you must have been there.
Sometimes I have an issue with that because, for example, when I'm at work and someone asks me, where are you from?
Yeah.
I say to them, I'm Ethiopian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simply because I understand it the way you understand it. I'm
Yeah.
giving them the answer that they're looking for.
They're looking
Where
for.
in Africa are
'Cause
you
every
from?
time you
Because
say-
of the
Then
election-
were you
hang
born
on,
in Ethiopia?
Hang on. No, I wasn't. But that's
So
the
why do you choose
that's the
Ethiopian?
well, we base our ethnicity based on where your
Your
parents
parents.
are from.
Okay.
Where your bloodline originates from.
Pretty
kind
much.
of thing.
Okay, yeah.
So I give them the answer Ethiopian and they say, wow, you speak really good English. And I'm like,
But here's the thing.
what do you mean?
Oh, you
And
say
literally, they're like, how long have you been in this country? And then this is what really shocks them. I'm like, only 3 years.
Yeah.
What? No, like, they don't realize that
Yeah.
I've lived in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Right? So,
It's hilarious, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The thing is,
sometimes
when
I-
you say Australian first, they go, "Yeah, but where are you from?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If someone comes up to me and goes,
I've actually said that I'm from Perth, and they're like, "Oh, but no, I mean originally, where are you from?"
Because there's always that smart, person that comes up to you and is being cheeky, like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like,
I
it's
get
trying
it.
to act like you're less
Well,
of a
that's the
person
thing.
because you're not from
It's
here.
part of the human nature. They see you, you're a black guy. They see you walking the street. Where's this guy from? Because generally, the thing about the human nature, they see you.
Yeah.
They've already
Assumed, made a
they've
judgment.
already made judgment on you.
Yeah.
That's part of human nature.
It's not that. It's how
See-
you respond, though. How do you respond to that question?
Yeah,
So
depends
you-
how you respond.
how do you
For me,
respond?
Like, it's how do
You say Australian, you say
Nah,
Somalian?
ask me straight away where I'm from. I'll say I'm from Somalia. That's a They ask me how long you've been here. I say I'm born here. They say, oh, okay, so you're Australian. I say, yeah, but that. Some of them ask me, why do you say you're Somali? You should have said you're Australian first. But I said,
So
yeah,
you
you're
follow,
right.
you
Technically,
follow
you're
the
right.
bloodline.
It's
But it's
because
tough, bro.
it's
You know
how
what I
you-
mean?
For me,
perceive
for
it.
example, when someone asks me where you're from,
Yeah.
generally I try and dive into that question and say, what do you mean where am I from? Do you mean where did I grow up? What my nationality is?
Where you were born?
Where I was raised? Because they're all different.
They're all different, exactly.
Right? So if somebody says to me, no, where were you born? I say I was born in Sudan. They're like, oh, okay,
You're
so you're
Sudanese.
Sudanese. I'm
No,
like,
no. I grew
By
up.
ethnicity, I'm Ethiopian.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Have you been to Ethiopia? I'm like, well, I wasn't born there. I've only traveled back
Yeah.
there.
Where'd you grow up? You grew up in New Zealand,
Exactly.
but you live in Australia now.
Exactly.
So-
which one do you hold on to?
Hold on.
And it all
Everything.
comes down. I think it all comes down to which one has more of an impact on your life.
Okay, so that's my question. So now you were born in Sudan.
Yes.
You grew up in New Zealand. You live in Australia. By ethnicity, you're Ethiopian, right? Which one do you tend to use more? When somebody says, where are you from? Which one do you tend to use more and why?
I find
Why is that one? Because I've heard you say a lot of times, I'm Ethiopian.
Yes.
I don't hear you say I'm Kiwi in New Zealand or Sudanese.
First,
Why do you
let's
choose?
set the record
Stop,
straight.
stop
I
right
get
there.
a lot of people that tell me you're Somalian. They try and dictate my ethnicity.
Forget that.
Why? Because of my features. That's the way.
Forget that. When I first
Right?
met you, when I first met Amr Hassan, we were in Sydney. We were sitting with a bunch of Somali boys.
Yeah.
Now I knew all the other Somali boys. I didn't know Amr Hassan. He's sitting there. I'm having a full conversation, looking at him, speaking in Somali. He gets up, goes to get a drink. One of the other boys is like, "Hey, brother, he's not Somali." Shocked. This is the brother sitting in front of me right here. I mean, you remember that?
Yeah, I had a
love
bunch.
it.
Bro, Perth City.
Yeah.
Even during my lunch breaks. Just last week, just the other week. Sorry, just the other week.
Yeah.
I had two people come down to me and say, "What else? Salaam alaikum." Wallah, and he starts, saying,
Yeah.
"How are you? How's everything
Yeah.
in Somali?"
Yeah, and you gotta-
Before I even got a chance to respond back and say, "Look, I don't speak Somali.
Yeah.
I'm not Somali." You
Yeah.
know. Then eventually he's like, I gave him that like confused look.
Yeah.
Sorry, what are you asking, kind of thing, you know?
Nah, but then they also assume that you're a Somali that doesn't know your own language until you tell them. Because
Exactly,
that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
elderly are, you know.
And then they're shocked when
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm Ethiopian." They're like, "No way!" Really?
That's the same reaction I had. That's the same reaction I had. But why do you claim Ethiopian a lot more than, not claim, but like why do you tend to answer as Ethiopian?
Well, okay, so for me, I feel like it depends where your parents are from,
Yeah.
where it originates from, like your bloodline kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that has the greatest impact on your generation.
Okay.
Sorry, not more like your lineage.
Yeah.
And that one has been Ethiopia.
Okay.
Migrating to Sudan, even though it's been a part of me, and I
Yeah.
do sort of accept that part of me,
Yeah.
it was only as like a temporary place
Okay.
until we migrate to somewhere like a European country.
Yeah.
That was like a holding place.
Yeah.
But because we stayed there for so long,
Yeah.
it had such an impact
Effect
on
on
even
you.
the language that I
Yeah.
speak.
You speak Arabic.
The one I speak at
Yeah.
home is Arabic.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes I'll be sitting at a cafe
Yeah.
and you'll get people that just speak in Arabic
Yeah.
and I know exactly what they're saying.
What they're saying,
But they don't
exactly.
think that I know what they're
Exactly.
saying. You know?
Exactly.
But
See, I've got a different approach to you guys. I've got a simple approach.
Yeah.
My mom, my dad are Somali. Right? Somebody asked me, where are you from? I'm from Somalia. I'm a Somali.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so-
there's flaws in that.
let me ask you something then. Let me ask you something. What determines whether you're Somali or not? Like, what's the criteria? To
That's what he's
determine
saying,
whether
his
you're Somali
parents.
or not?
My parents,
Yes.
I was born there. Speak the language, and I've got the culture.
So there has to be all four
No,
That's it?
that's pretty much for me.
for you. But
For
I'm
me,
saying
pretty
is,
much.
So your parents need to be Somali.
Yes. Number one.
how about this?
Because if my parents were Chinese, I'd be Chinese.
How about this? Your
If
parents
my
are
parents were
Somali.
American, I'd be American.
Your parents are Somali, and then
So-
you move away at a very young age.
See, right now, I
happens
live.
then?
No, forget that. I've lived in Perth since I was 3.
Yeah,
Inshallah, I'll have kids here.
yeah.
Those kids, first thing I teach them is, listen, your parents are Somali. They're from Somalia. You're Somali, born in Australia.
I get that.
Okay, so
But
what about
from-
somebody that goes there? Say, for example, me.
Yeah.
I go there.
Yeah.
I live there.
Yeah.
And I'm married, even with my wife, whoever. I go there and
Yeah.
I live there and I
Yeah.
have children.
Yeah.
And we hold the passport.
If he goes now,
Do
is
I
his daughter
get
Somali?
Do I get considered to be a
No.
Somali? No.
No.
So I'm still a foreigner.
You're
in
still a
your
foreigner.
eyes.
In my
you.
yes.
So
in my
you
eyes.
consider yourself a foreigner in Australian soil?
Yes. Even though I'm a citizen.
That's
Even though,
Bruh,
because for
that's
me,
crazy.
for me that
That's
citizenship
crazy.
is a piece of paper.
Listen,
at the end of the day.
I'm gonna
I'll say it differently, bro.
if we're gonna be real, if we're gonna be real,
It's not just a piece of
it's not a
paper.
piece of
if we're
paper.
gonna be real,
Because
no,
it
listen,
has an impact on your life.
listen, it has an impact on my life, right?
Yes.
But if we're gonna be real, and I don't want to get too political, what happened in America? That piece of paper is revoked. See you later.
What do you mean?
America, the whole thing with Donald Trump, the whole ban thing.
That was banned for people coming in,
Yeah,
not people
was
that are
bad
already
for people coming
citizens.
in, not the ones that are already in the
If,
country.
if they were able to do that, though, tomorrow,
that paper prevents it from doing it.
tomorrow, God forbid, tomorrow the government says, "Hey, anybody who's not white Australian, see you later."
They can't do it.
Don't worry about it, they can. Hypothetically, it happens. Will that ever happen to you in your country?
Where, in New Zealand?
No, in Ethiopia.
But it's a hypothetical, just like it won't happen here. Hypothetically,
Firstly,
it won't happen
that's the
there.
way- that's the way I think about it.
The thing is, I don't have an Ethiopian passport. I don't have a citizenship, so I can't claim that I live in Ethiopia.
But your
I'm a
ethnicity
citizen.
is Ethiopian,
Ethnicity,
right?
I'm Ethiopian.
By parents.
By parents.
Exactly. For me, ethnicity is all that matters. My ethnicity is Somali,
I
right?
disagree.
And that's me.
So what if your ethnicity is Ethiopian, but your culture is different, and your language is different?
Like, yeah.
What then?
A 5-year-old Somali with Somali parents gets separated, lives a whole nother life in a whole nother country. Is that person Somali or
kid
part
is-
of that country?
That kid is still Somali.
See, I disagree because that
That
kid
kid is
has
still Somali.
zero influence on
Yeah,
his
but
life.
is he only Somali? That's the thing. I think that's the other question. Is
Yeah.
he only Somali? Because you can't limit the amount of things. Like I hold 4.
No,
different
don't get me wrong.
titles.
I appreciate the impact and everything that this country has
Stop
done
right there.
for me.
I've
You know
got a
what I mean?
question.
Oh, no, let me finish.
Yeah, go.
I've got a question. I just realized, obviously on your passport,
Yeah.
you go to your passport, all of us.
Nationality.
Nationality, what does it
Australian.
say? Australian.
Yeah.
Question
Mine-
answered.
mine
Thank you
says
very
New
much.
Zealander.
Yours says New
Mine says
Zealand.
New
So
Zealand.
you're from New Zealand, I'm from Australia, you're from Australia?
But you haven't left the country. You're Australian.
But who are they to dictate that
stop.
for me?
Yeah.
I believe my
It's-
nationality,
that's a very good
my
point.
ethnicity is Somali.
Everyone-
Nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can decide you're
but-
being granted a citizenship in Australia.
But
You're
just-
not
but-
Australian.
But just like that, you
different
can't say
point
that
of
to
view.
other people.
I
Though.
can't say that to them, but for me,
That's how you
I'm
feel.
Somali.
technically-
That's how I
but
feel
you're
myself.
Technically, you're
What
Australian.
Right
you're
now.
doing,
No,
what
right
you're
now.
doing is
I
limiting
want to ask you a
yourself.
question.
No, hang on.
No, I want to ask you a question.
Before you ask me the
Let
question,
it finish.
right? What I'm saying to you is, when you say why are they dictating my ethnicity,
Yeah.
they're not. They're actually adding to your ethnicity an additional one, because they're not taking away your Somali ethnicity. They're not saying you're not Somali, you're Australian.
No, it says I'm Australian.
It says
But
an
it's-
Australian
but it
in
doesn't-
addition to your Somali nationality.
It doesn't say that.
It does because
doesn't.
look, if you travel on a Somali passport,
Yes.
do they revoke it? Do they say to you you cannot travel with your Somali passport?
I'm
No,
pretty
you can-
sure.
No, you have
Having an Australian passport
You
does
can't
not
have-
neglect your Somali passport.
exactly.
Okay.
Australia doesn't say that passport
But
doesn't
you chose
exist
to
because
travel
you're
with the
Australian
Australian
now.
passport.
Okay.
Therefore, you chose to adhere to that
Regardless of
ethnicity.
all the papers that I hold, to me personally, they're just papers
Okay.
that allow me to stay here and live here, right?
And what does that entail?
And even then, this is God's world. You should be able to travel anyway. But we've got governments and all that in place.
But it's not
and
just
in
about-
order to stay here, I need those papers.
It's
and I
not-
have those papers.
but it's not just a
I
land
will
you're staying in.
I will
Okay.
forever be a
It's
Somali.
about the influence.
Can I ask
that-
you a question?
Before you, okay. Yeah.
Can I ask
Go
you a
ahead,
question?
Go ahead.
You're an Ethiopian,
Yes.
right? Your wife is Ethiopian.
Yes.
You have a daughter.
Yes.
She comes up to you when she's of age, tells you, "Dad, I'm Australian. I want nothing to do with my Ethiopian heritage or culture or anything."
Whoa.
How would you feel? What would you say to her?
When she says, "I don't want anything to do," that's you can't though.
No.
That's the
You
thing.
can't.
It's in her blood. It's not something she can take away from
What
herself.
about-
No,
what about
she
she
said
said
it
like
to you.
you
Dad,
saying-
I am Australian.
It's like you saying, "I want nothing to do with my black skin color." You can't. It's in you.
That's
It's
like
in your
saying-
DNA. It's your heritage. It's your
No,
lineage.
that is. But
You're Ethiopian.
there are kids.
The
there
other
are
ones
people.
the other ones that you hold on to, these are the ones that aren't within your blood, like your Australianism, your New Zealanderism, your other heritage, Sudan. For me,
Yeah.
these are just part of my culture, which I can leave or hold on to. You understand? There's one crucial one that is within your blood, and that is the Ethiopian blood. So whether she accepts it or not, it's not up to her. That's
That's who
irrelevant
she is.
question. That's a
Yeah,
question that can only be
genetically.
asked.
That's it.
You understand? That's
Yeah.
who she
See,
is.
I agree with that.
Yes, but what you're saying is you stop the what do you call it? You ban it there, and you basically say you're Ethiopian and only Ethiopian.
You're limiting
You're not allowed to claim other ones. That's why you're saying you're
Not
limiting.
not allowed to, but I will never. And for me, if that's
Okay, so now let me ask you a question.
Why?
When you guys go overseas
yes,
Yeah.
and somebody asks you, "Oh, you guys from Australia?" What do you say?
I say I live in Australia. Yes.
No. You see? You see? You see?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get
Now,
what
if
you're
you get
saying.
into some trouble and you land in jail, do you call the Australian embassy or do you call the Somali one?
I call the
you
Australian
see?
one because I live here.
So
You
you
live
take the
here.
benefits
So
of it.
all that's what we mean.
But you
You're
won't- you won't
influenced
take-
by Australia.
You see? And now that you live in this country, you have a duty to actually contribute towards it. And the fact that you're contributing towards it, whether you like it or not, it affects you as well. And it affects your children to come as well. Because you're living
but
in a
look,
society that
look,
is Australian.
In all honesty, the whole reason why I say, look, the whole knowing your heritage and where you come from is really important. Is I know a lot of people that have sacrificed their culture, their heritage, who they are, their identity, for the sake of integration with the Western society. You know what I mean? And not necessarily. Look, the Western society has got a lot of benefits, but it has a lot of things that we, in our culture and our religion, as people who we are, we cannot accept. Right? That's why, like, this topic was brought up.
There
I
are
like
people out there.
all the points that you guys
You're right.
have brought up.
Yes.
Like Australia, New Zealand, they've all contributed to us as people
Yeah.
with a lot of benefits. Like you said, right now you go overseas, you get in trouble. Who you call up? Australian embassy. You get sick, you got an Australian doctor. You know what I mean? You go and buy Australian food. You know what I mean? You work in Australia. The reason why our
Kids
parents
go to
came
school.
here. The reason why our parents came here is to find a better life for us and for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that, for the sake of acceptance in society, wherever they are, Europe, America, Australia, wherever they are, have neglected their mother tongue, their culture, their society, their faith, in the hopes of just being accepted. And for me,
Making it
I see
easier.
that as a major wrong.
Yeah, I see what you're coming from. They can't integrate their culture with the Western
Exactly,
world properly.
exactly.
But what I'm saying is that doesn't mean don't integrate.
No,
at all.
100%.
You know
No,
what I mean?
I understand. And I still hold the point. I'm straight Somali, regardless of what you guys say.
Okay.
But take it hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you are Somali, but you're Australian too. And one thing, when I don't know if you guys realize it, but when our elders in our community tell you, is they'll tell you, listen, for the sake of not losing your culture, do not integrate, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Which is not a message that I agree with. Integrate, but with certain limits.
I think for our parents, especially us because we're Muslim,
Yes.
when they say do not integrate, they merely mean do not adopt some of the non-Islamic things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So the things that are prohibited within your religion.
Exactly.
That's more, but they don't say don't have Australian friends.
No, they don't.
They don't say
There
no,
are some,
don't.
there are a lot that are so sheltered of their kids from being that they do say that. They actually do. They don't want them hanging out with these type of kids or going to these type of areas. And those are the kids that generally have issues. Because they're not being integrated at a young age. They're being sheltered. First thing, they want to be integrated. They want to know what's going on. So they're going to disagree with their parents there. And on top of that, when they get older and they do get out the house, they don't know how to deal with society.
Yeah, they
You know
just
what I
let
mean?
loose.
And a big, especially at school, there's been a lot of people that are like that with really strict parents. Parents come here, and it's not it's understandable for the parents. They come here, they don't know the language, they don't know what's going on, you know what I mean? And now they have to raise kids. So it's easier for them to shelter the kids while they're learning and tackling it at the same time.
And by then it's already gone
You know
too
what I
far.
mean?
Yeah,
So-
that's true.
Yeah. I guess that's the way a lot of people I know have grown up. But then we've got Alma here who went to a
Australian school.
Australian school, had Australian friends growing up. But, you know what I mean?
I still hold my culture, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
still hold my culture,
He's turned out fine.
That's thanks to my parents, bro.
So will you have an issue with your child, inshallah, when you have one? If they say, I am Australian, do you have an issue with
No.
that? No?
Okay, if they say I'm Australian hand in hand with Somali, I don't mind. But if my son comes up to me and says, I am Australian only,
Oh.
it's going to be a very colourful conversation.
Because the thing is, he's cutting you off by saying that as well.
Not just me. It's like
I know what you mean.
your
but-
core essence is where you're from. You know what I mean? That's who you are. That's what makes us people, nations. You know what I mean? You should know your worth. You should never sacrifice who you are and where you're from for anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We not just religiously, but even culturally. You have your core values, morally, your culture, you come from a long line of history. Whatever your country or your nationality's history is, you should never forsake that. And if I haven't taught that to my child before the time that they come to me and tell me, listen, I'm Australian, then I would have failed as a parent.
Yeah, because you got to understand.
It is my duty to teach them
That's why
who you are.
Yeah.
It is your duty as a parent to teach them you're a strong Somali, strong Ethiopian, Kenyan, whoever they are, an Australian citizen or a New Zealand citizen, hand in hand. You shouldn't sacrifice one for the other. You shouldn't sacrifice Australian citizenship or wherever you live, because that contributes to your life, contributes to who you are. That's where you study, that's where you learn, that's where all your ambitions and dreams will come true. You know what I mean?
But then you kind of have to expect it. I mean, if somebody is living here generation after generation after generation and so on, eventually they're just going to say, I'm Australian.
Eventually, if that's the case, then we'll get to a stage where we'll say there used to be a people that were called
But that's what
Ethiopians
happens.
once upon a time.
That's history, though. People move to a new
You gotta
area
preserve
and
it.
then, you know what I mean?
You got to preserve it. Because right now,
Yeah, that's actually
say for example, 60% of the people or 80% of the people that live in the diaspora out here, we forget or neglect teaching our children the tradition, right? 10 years down the line, your son...
Forget 10 years, man. 2 years, the kid doesn't even know how to speak the language.
Because look, a lot of our cultures...
But
Yeah.
touching on that,
Yeah.
is language a part of your
Yes.
ethnicity?
So you
if
go
don't-
back.
So if you don't speak Somali, you're not.
Think about it. You don't speak Somali.
No.
You go back to
You're
your
not good
home
enough.
country and you can't even interact with the people.
Yeah, but
That's where your parents was influenced. That's where your whole culture
let's
is.
be
You
truthful
can't.
here, because if you guys go back to Somalia, you'll be too Europeanized to be Somalian.
But you can
And
still.
when you come here,
No.
you're too Somali to
But
be
that's
Australian.
already us now. When that kid does not speak Somali, he can never have the hopes of going to Somalia.
Well,
Going to see where his parents are from.
See, we're first generation here. Our parents came here and we're the kids. We still speak the language. We got a lot of the culture. And if we're still seen as Europeanized or Westernized over there because of how drastic they see us, what do you think? And then the ones that I know now that don't speak the language, that's another year on top of it. What's going to be 3 years? 3 generations down, that's going
But
to
then,
be...
okay.
Like
Think about
right
this.
now, regardless
Your
of
first
how
generation,
westernized
yeah.
you are.
Your first generation here. Now, the reason why you're thinking the way you are, okay, and holding on to your ethnicity and so on, is simply because when your parents moved here, they didn't move here to stay permanently. At least for my parents.
Yeah,
okay?
same.
They moved here with a mindset that eventually, well, I'm going to work here and educate my children, but then when I retire, I'm going to go
going
back
back.
home.
Yeah,
You understand?
yeah,
So we always knew that this wasn't going to be our home for good.
yeah.
But now our children and our children's children, when they see that their fathers and fathers' fathers are here and
No,
have
but-
stayed here,
okay.
they're going to consider this home.
Okay.
That's fine.
You
That-
understand?
yeah.
But
So- So
for me,
you can't
that view,
necessarily, yes.
for me, that view that our parents have is still great with me. Me personally, sitting here with you, I don't see a long-term future here. 5,
Okay,
10
here's-
years, but I'm planning to go back.
See,
Really?
to
Yes.
me,
And anybody who knows me outside
Yeah.
of this conversation here will tell you the same. And I mean, for me personally, that's a great thing, and it's something that I am going to, inshallah, hopefully pass down if I'm not gone by then.
what you were talking about, I just see you flip it. You know how I said Somali Australian? 3-4 years is going to be Australian Somali. See what I mean?
So they're going to claim Australian.
But they're still Somali because the influence at that point will be majority Australian.
Yeah,
Less Somali influence going on there. They're still influenced by both, but the majority of the influence is where? Here. So they will be Australian. They were born here. They lived here. Everything is here. Just that their parents was teaching them a bit of culture from, our culture. So it's majority 70% Australian, 30% Somali, or something like that. Whatever it is, it's Australian Somali. While with me,
so the question
I grew
is,
up
are you
here,
okay with 70-30 Australian Somali?
or whatever it is.
Are you okay with that?
The thing is,
from-
I focus more on trying to educate my child
Yeah.
of where she comes from.
Yeah.
And which ethnicities she holds.
Exactly.
I'm not try and limit her and say to
No.
her, no, you have to stay within this.
No,
Okay?
that's the thing. That's for me.
Educate her, give her all the options and the ability to have all of them or not have all of them. You understand?
Yeah.
It'll be up to her to decide
No.
how she
Look, we're all
considers herself.
we're all adults, and once your child becomes an adult, ultimately it is their job.
It's their
It is
job.
their option to choose, right? But the onus is on you
On the
to make
parent.
sure that she knows
educate.
Yeah.
exactly to teach her who she is, where she's from, right? And then obviously you're trying to explain like it's not about what, because look, at the end of the day, heritage and culture, it's not much it can do for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to know who you are, because there's a lot of people that find out, listen, like you said, that they've lived in, for example, Denmark all their life, speak Danish, lived with a Danish family, but find out that their heritage is Somali, for example. Now that kid would have loved to know that from the beginning, rather than find that out later on.
Think about it. Ancestry.com, all these things are huge now, the DNA tests.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people want to know where they're from. You know what I mean? It's all about that.
Last week we spoke about marriage. And stuff. And identity kind of plays a part in that
100%.
marriage as well. Because when you marry someone, you're either accepting a new identity or you're forming one when you have a child.
Yeah.
So when you guys consider about your child getting married, or when you consider about you getting married, does this identity play a part?
Major role.
Yes,
so
it
you would
does.
only marry someone
Major
who
role.
has a similar identity?
Similar.
Really?
Similar.
Even though, is that a preference?
I
Or
don't
is that
say
something
identity.
like you put it down as like it's kind of like a must. You have to marry someone.
No, for me, it's past preference. It's sort of a deal breaker. Sort of.
Really?
Yeah. For me, anyway. Alhamdulillah, I got married to somebody of the same ethnicity as me. But yeah, for me, it was past just preference. Because preference, you can always look over it.
Yeah, you
You
can.
know what I mean?
That's right.
But for me, I was never in the game of looking anywhere else outside my ethnicity.
But that's what you
And I'll-
prefer. That's your preference.
Okay, now say
And
your
I'll,
child.
and I'll tell you why.
Is that the same with you?
And I'll tell you
No.
why. And I'll tell you why. It's a lot easier. If I want to be honest, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier raising a family, raising children. There's no culture differences, major cultural differences anyway. You speak the same language at home. A lot of things, when you think about it. I married somebody whose family, like for example, my parents, my grandparents, my parents, alhamdulillah, they speak English, but my grandparents, they don't speak English. If we were ever to go visit them and my wife doesn't speak the language, I have to sit there and be translator.
And that should be okay though.
That shouldn't be okay.
Why not?
Because we go home, she's sitting with my grandma, I have to sit there. That one time that I walk out, they're going to be staring at each other.
No, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on, man.
It makes everything a lot easier. For me anyway.
It makes it easy.
It does.
It makes
no
it,
one's
it
disagreeing
makes it
with that.
way more easier. It's okay. It's okay. I'm saying it's okay, and I'm not saying
Either your
anything bad about it.
preference.
But my preference and the
It
reason
does
is
make
it
it
makes
easier.
everything easier.
It does.
And for my child, I'll tell them that was my state of mind. At the end of the day, it's up to you anyway. But I'll tell them I would prefer you to marry from the same ethnicity. That's my preference, advice. But at the end of the day, it's your choice.
It's a preference.
Right.
It's not. It has to be.
No.
Yeah.
As
No,
long,
but I'm talking about for me.
what?
For me, it's a preference to be the same ethnicity.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
The biggest thing there is, like you said, it's a lot easier, and depending
Way
on
easier.
the circumstances, it can be really difficult. You know what I mean?
So will you have an issue? Will you guys have an issue if your child comes and says, "I want to marry an Australian"?
No.
No, because before my culture, I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
And I use
Right.
Islamic criteria.
Okay, good. So that person marries an Australian.
Yeah.
They have a child.
Yeah.
That child goes on to marry
Another Australian.
another Australian. Slowly.
Diluting the ethnicity,
Somali
yeah.
ethnicity is
It's getting diluted.
diluted.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's getting thinner.
Yeah.
To the point where it doesn't even exist, even the culture, even the
Yeah.
language, and so on. Would you still consider those people Somali?
No. How are you talking about? All the way down there? No.
All the way down there?
No.
No?
Because they don't have anything associated with it. It
But it's
depends.
in their blood, though.
If it's in their blood,
It's
but-
difficult. I see where you're going. It's difficult.
You see,
That's
for
a
me,
tough
I
question,
would
bro.
consider them Somali.
I
They
would, because
are.
they're my progeny.
technically
exactly.
they are.
You know
But
what I mean?
what I mean by
But-
see them as Somali isn't seeing them as someone with ingrained in that culture. That's what when I see someone as something, it's not, there's two, yes, your ethnicity, your blood, you know what I mean? But if I see you, right, and you have nothing to do with Ethiopia in you, and let's say you have all American to do in you, yes, I see you as an Ethiopian, but I don't see you as an Ethiopian because you don't have any other culture there. So you're still technically by books and blood and you know what I mean? Nature's relations, but you got nothing to do with it. That's like, having someone has a cousin that they've lived 80 years and never seen him before, and then, there might not be a spark there because you've never seen him. You might be blood. Like, for example, have you heard the saying, blood is thicker than water, right? You do know that's an incomplete. That's not what it actually means or where it was derived from.
What does it mean?
It actually means it's the blood of the covenant. is thicker than the water. So it's what he's saying is the water of the womb. So water is actually blood in this sense, as in family is by blood of the covenant, as in like if we're brothers and we go to war,
That's thicker.
ours is thicker than my brother sitting at home that we argue every day. That is thicker. It's not meaning that, just because we're blood, we're thicker. You know what I mean? So in that sense, yes, you might still have the same DNA and blood running through, but how do we link other than that? Other than having, it's like saying we have the same hair color. We match, but everything else is different.
In all honesty, everyone's from Africa, so
Yeah. It's true.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, so in the mitochondria in every cell, there's a specific DNA that is always traced to females. And it's traced to one female all the way back in Africa.
Who can give birth to...
That pretty much every single person has that in them. So that means
only
everyone
a
was
black
the
woman
wrong.
can give birth to a white child. Only a black woman can
So
give
pretty
birth
much
to
when
a
they go,
black child.
there's one thing that's in all of us that
So
traces back to
Only
one
black woman
African.
can give birth to two different children.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Very, very
Well,
long time ago.
Can a white female give birth without having a black
Or any black
or
in that
African,
person. No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not.
I didn't know any of this. This is interesting.
That's crazy though. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Everyone's from Africa, so
Everyone's
we are
from-
related.
Oh, there's no point of
That's what I mean.
of identities and nationalities. We're all
Where
African
you
then.
from? Two loving parents from Africa.
So that's why when we brought this whole identity thing up, to me it was more about what impacts you, what affects you as a person.
What
You know what I
shapes you as
mean?
a
What
person, yeah.
shaped you? So when you say I don't take this or I don't take that, it doesn't matter what you take or not. It's what you got.
Exactly.
What you speak, what you eat, all that stuff you do. If you say, nah, I'm not Australian, but I eat sauce, hot dog rolls and I watch Australian TV and I do all of this stuff, but then you ask me what's your nationality or where you from or what do you identify yourself as, and I say, oh, definitely not Australian.
Yeah.
You can say that all you
can
want,
say
you're
that,
lying,
but then
because you know what I
Australia's
mean.
got the greatest impact
yeah.
on you.
Because you're practicing it.
Yeah,
You're practicing
exactly.
their culture. You're doing
So anything that has influenced you seriously, like your parents, think about it. What influenced you the most is when you're a kid. That's what you learn the most, and all your mannerisms and all of that comes from it's your parents. So that's why I say it really depends, because if you don't have parents around, that's going to affect it. If you have parents that teach you a lot, that's going to affect it. You know,
And
if
it's-
you've got
have
parents
you
that
guys-
integrate.
You know what's really hard now for the youth, and I think this is probably a really key topic to sort of direct it towards the youth as well, because they struggle to have that balance between the additional culture or ethnicity that they've been given being here in Australia.
But you got to understand, it's
and
not just
having the
Australia.
one from their parents and trying to hold on to that.
It's not just
as well.
Australia. With the internet and everything, there's influence coming from the whole world.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
You know what
that.
I mean?
I understand that.
Yeah.
So
but
that
then
they're
you go to
like-
school in Australia.
You go to school in
You
Australia.
follow Australian law. You watch or follow Australian politics. You eat Australian food.
No, but still, the people get Chinese food, people get Indian food, people watch American TV shows,
true,
people watch, they're getting influence from all around the world, and
Yeah.
then they got 50 things coming at them, and they go home and their parents are telling them one thing. So they go out to school to talk to their friends, and then they come home for a few hours a day to speak to their parents.
Right.
The rest of the day they're out. And then now they have this conflict when they come home and their parents are telling them one way, don't do this, but then majority of the time that's what they're taking in.
Yeah.
So now it's up to the parents then. to
How do you
make sure-
filter all of that and control it? It's very hard. And being aware of that, like when people say, I'm not, being aware of it will help you in making your decisions and what you do. And that's why I reckon this topic was great. Bring that in, like, stopping and thinking about it. Like, what is my identity? Where do I come from? You start realizing why you do what you do. What influenced you to do what you do. Then now you can go, okay, cool, this problem's done this and that. You know where to hit.
Have any of you guys traveled back home recently?
How
Not
recent is
recently. I was
recent?
there in
No one said
2012.
recent.
Major culture shock. Major
Yeah?
from everything, from the top to the bottom. I'm talking about even from...
Because right now you consider yourself an average
And
Ethiopian.
yeah, but I was never born there.
Yeah.
I've never traveled there. I've never even experienced just it.
The raw culture at its finest. How was it?
Man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how much. It's
What is one experience that you're like, wow? One
Just-
experience. Or
just-
one thing that just shocked you.
Well, okay. So one thing that sort of shocked me was just being immersed in a country where there's one ethnicity,
Yeah.
one type of people,
Yeah.
one type of language kind of thing. Even though they have all these
Yeah,
different
yeah,
dialects,
but
one
one,
national
yeah.
language, where one type of food kind of thing,
Yeah.
where the dominant one is just that.
Yeah.
Whereas here in Australia or New Zealand,
Yeah.
it's all multicultural.
Multicultural.
You gotta-
That
Exactly.
little
Yeah.
dose of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
you have
But
that taste of the
one
world.
strong dominant.
They're having that one thing, just huge
Yeah.
culture shock. I'm just turning left and right, and I'm just seeing Ethiopians
Yeah.
everywhere, speaking Amharic everywhere.
And the food has been mastered. It's like it's
Oh,
wherever
man,
you
top
go.
notch.
Yeah.
Top notch.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, really good. man.
I haven't traveled back home since I left in 1997. But
Oh, you're gonna enjoy it when
I'm
you
due to go this year.
Yo,
man.
you serious?
Yeah, I haven't.
thought you went.
I've
oh,
never
you
been back
haven't.
home. I've been to the neighboring countries, Kenya,
Yeah,
Ethiopia,
you're right.
but
you
I've
haven't
never been
actually
back
been.
home.
Oh,
But I'm due to
man.
go this year. I look forward to
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna enjoy it.
I
There's a
look
few
forward
things
to
that
it.
gonna one thing that's gonna surprise you is like the drive over there is so different to the drive, like the daily goal. When you look at a person's daily life here, it's
Yeah.
go to work, earn some money, pay your bills, do this. Their way of the way they go throughout their day is so different.
How is it?
It's not about like here. It's more about your money and your income and you know,
Yeah.
your household. For them, it's all about experiences. They'll go to work just to make some money, but experiences, going to friends' houses, doing this, like experiencing
yeah,
it. You know what I
memories
mean?
and-
Yeah, it's always about doing things
Yeah.
together and having that memory. Like nothing over there you do by yourself. Like there's like think about it. Like barely anything you do. It's everything social over
Yeah,
there. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because
yeah.
they don't have what we have here.
Yeah.
So over there, it's more about the people.
Yeah.
You know? And one thing I realized over there is the happiness level.
Yeah.
Like I went over there thinking, you know what I mean? Because when I went there, it's not Australia. You know, they don't have paved roads and they don't have all of this sort of stuff. But man, they were like so happy to show me a cinema, which was a TV in a dark room. Like, and you should see how happy they are and proud of it. Like, and it's genuine happiness over the smallest things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they see all of the stuff we have.
Yeah.
And they go,
The
oh,
cinema
who
thing-
cares?
The cinema thing is so funny. When I was in Ethiopia,
Bro.
bro, I'm telling you, I was like, all right, let me experience what it's like to actually go watch a movie here, you know? And
Yeah.
I wasn't in the capital city. I was in another city, you know?
Yeah.
So we walk into the cinemas. And I'm like, the actual building looks all right. It's pretty
Yeah.
decent, you know? We walk in. The cinema's, I don't know, it's about decent size. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's, you know, top quality
Yeah.
or anything. It's just decent size.
Yeah.
But the seats are all leveled. It's
Oh,
not like this.
yeah.
It's all leveled.
So you're trying to.
You gotta sit at
All
the front.
Yeah.
all the chairs are like classroom chairs.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So forget popcorn and all of the other stuff, or just the chairs themselves, man. And if you got somebody that's and they're prone to actually stand up and clap and whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
throughout the thing. So
Yeah.
you're missing a few here and there.
Yeah.
But just to be immersed in that, and they're
But
happy
that's an
with that, and
experience.
they're okay. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
experience. It's
Yeah.
a different way of.
Funny thing,
Wow.
I actually wasn't at this, but wow, it is 9 years ago now, 2010.
there?
I went there for a 1 month holiday
Oh, nice.
with me, my mom, and my sisters. We went there for
It's
a month.
developing slowly, man.
Brother, it was already hectic back then,
Yeah.
especially like
now.
when you go to the city area and everything.
Yeah.
And I love the little buses, the vans
Yeah.
with pumping music.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It was killer. It was killer. man.
One advice there is people are really direct.
Yeah.
So knowing when they're being rude versus when they're not being rude.
Yeah.
Here it's pleases and thank yous. Can you excuses
Yeah.
me?
Oh, yeah.
Over there
Oh, yeah.
they tell you how it
Yeah,
feels,
yeah.
and it's not being for them. That is being respectful.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
I'm not
sugarcoating
holding
it. I'm
anything
telling
back.
you straight away to your face because I respect you like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That's
And so you knowing between that versus when someone's actually being a little
Yeah.
bit of a smarter.
Right.
So yeah, like that was one thing that really took me to shock as well. Like they just straight up about it. I was walking, one guy just looked at me. I was walking the first day. Why are you walking like that? I never saw this person. I looked at him like, who's this guy? He's he's pointing at me. Like, why are you walking like that? And he's just going off. What is this clothes you're wearing? I'm thinking that, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, who are you? And people are joining in. People walking past is like, yeah, you're right. This person isn't from here. You know what I mean? I was like, So you'll get used to it, man.
No, but
That's crazy.
I think we should wrap up the discussion there, man.
Alright.
We've hit some good notes. I think it's time for us to get into the game segment, man.
Let's do this.
Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, if you could rewatch, and I don't know if you guys are really big movie watchers, but if you could rewatch one movie for the first time, what would it be?
I'm a cinephile. It's a tough question. It would have to definitely be something with a twist.
Just off the bat, come on. I want to know.
Harry Potter, man.
Harry Potter.
No. Training Day.
Shawshank Redemption.
Training Day.
Really?
Yeah.
Training Day?
Training Day.
Yeah.
Come on, Denzel. You didn't see
Denzel,
it. Come on.
Denzel has to be up there. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
For me, one of the Denzel films.
Yeah.
I'll go with John Q.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
John
Nice.
Q.
Nice.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a.
I don't know. I went blank, and then the first movie I remember was Shawshank.
Then again, Man on Fire.
But the thing, it has to be the
you got
twist.
all of them.
Bro,
You got all of them, but then you got Morgan Freeman's narration, man.
Yeah,
That's
but
something
here's the
different.
thing. If a movie is...
That movie, you just relax, you just immerse yourself in the story.
See, like, I can rewatch action movies
Yeah,
and movies
me
that
too.
are fun with explosions
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
over again with the
yeah.
same level of enjoyment.
Yeah.
But when there's a movie when there's a twist that you never saw coming and you
Yeah.
rewatch that movie,
Yeah.
it's fun only the second time because now you know it.
Yeah.
But then everything after that,
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
So when you can rewatch one like that got you, it has to be something like that, which is...
I think there was this movie that's called Momentum or something like
I
that.
think
It's
I
about
think
this
I've seen
one
it.
guy who forgets every time it hits 25 seconds or
Oh.
25 minutes or something. I don't know. Like there's a short window
Yeah.
as to how much he can remember.
Yeah.
Then when it hits that timer, he forgets
I've been
everything.
writing
It's fine.
everything
So
down.
this guy's
Wow.
writing everything on
Yeah.
this thing, and he's trying to figure out who's trying to kill him
Yeah.
and who's his friend
Oh.
at the same time.
See, that's a
Oh,
movie
wow,
you
that's-
definitely
it's
watch over.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy movie, man.
Is it on Netflix?
Nah, I don't think so, man. I watched this years ago, man.
Yeah, alright.
See, that's a
I
movie you
haven't
rewatch.
See, that's a movie. Nice movie, man.
I don't know.
That's a crazy plot.
Mm.
Yeah. No, but man, I think we'll wrap it up here, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys very much
Long
for
day,
another.
mate.
Hold
for
on,
another
before you
episode.
cut it off. Harry Potter. Come on. You serious?
That's the first thing that came to my mind, man. But I
Harry
think
Potter's
that-
a great, but I think it's
no,
this
no,
one
it's a
movie.
sequel, it's a
You gotta
sequel.
forget the
Nah,
first one, remember
nah,
all
nah,
of
nah,
them?
nah.
Forget the last one, remember?
American Gangster, man. I
Alright,
really like
alright,
that.
alright.
It's
Better.
okay, it's
See, no.
You don't have
Harry
to.
Potter, you don't have to change
put
it
up
now.
for us.
That's the first movie that came to my mind.
Same,
I was like,
same
Harry
for
Potter.
me.
I was
Just-
like,
just
yeah.
the-
With Harry Potter, where
Just
are
the
you?
third movie. If he gets the third movie, he remembers the rest of them.
Yeah, that's it.
Nah, man. But thank you guys, man, and stay tuned for another episode next week. Take it easy.
Peace.
Peace.